There we go. Hey! Ooh, we're dancing today. All the way from New York.
Roger, cutting on meat. Be careful not to hold your knife and fork as weapons. No, it's not where the learner's house.
Welcome to Meet the Biz. Hey, we've got family here today. We we do. We've got this beautiful, stunning woman, this beautiful, stunning artist. I wrote some words down to I was thinking, okay, what comes to my mind? First came dance, movement, beautiful, family, cousin, art. She's an artist, and I'm going to bring her right on. Sarah Yasmine Marazzi-Sassoon.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh, yay! Did I say that correctly?
You said it so well.
Thank you. Thank you. You look stunning.
Thank you.
And I was noticing how beautiful the earrings are and how they're different.
They
One's
are different. This is a fish, and this one's a jellyfish.
So what is it about fish?
They're just cool.
They are
And a
cool.
lot of my art is about nature and different animals, so I thought it would be thematically consistent.
I love it. No, where does that come from, the animals and the into your work?
Well, when I was in college, I had to sort of make the decision of, do I want to be an artist or do I want to be Jane Goodall and go and study animals in the field?
Right.
And I found a way to sort of do both. But yeah, I did a degree in evolutionary biology and animal behavior, and it really informs a lot of my work. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. And you whenever you create something, you sort of bring that into, merge them together.
Right now, that's my current project. I never want to sort of silo myself into this will forever be my brand as an artist. But
Right.
now that's what I'm interested in doing. And I just had a piece about fireflies, and I'm working on a piece on hermit crabs next. So definitely have a pattern of behavior.
I love it. Well, you breathe with it,
Yeah, I guess.
I guess. So where did you get that beautiful name?
So the Marazzi part of my name is my mom's family name, and she's Italian. And then the Sassoon, which depicted, is an Iraqi Jewish name from my dad's side of the family. And I like to use the whole thing because it takes up a whole line in a program.
And it flows. It's like this, it's like a musical in itself. It's your name is a piece of art. Um, so what what do you remember the first time that you started dancing?
Um, well, there's a story that my parents like to tell, which I don't remember, which is apparently as a toddler, I refused to walk for the longest time. Like I really just wanted them to pick me up and carry me around. I thought it was a great deal. Um, but whenever there was music playing, I would get up and dance around. So I had the physical ability to walk. I just refused to do it. Um, but I do remember the first time I took a ballet class. I had asked I we had this VHS tape of, I think it was Royal Ballet doing Romeo and Juliet, and I watched it over and over and over again and like begged my parents to put me in ballet class, and I was like 4 or 5 and just remember, walking up like sort of in a like the line in a chorus line where you like walk up the steep narrow staircase to your ballet class. Like that was totally what it was like.
Oh my God. Fame flashed before my eyes. Fame. I'm gonna, up to the, in the New York. What was I thinking too about what you were saying about the dance? Oh, it's interesting the things you remember when you're young and all that. I had this thing where I wouldn't eat, or at least my mom said that I wouldn't eat. So she took me to the therapist, and the therapist said that was it when I was 1. He said he'll eat when he wants to eat.
Started therapy early.
Yeah, well, that's, and I'm still in it. So why did you move to New York? I mean, you've been all around. You grew up in France,
I was born in New York,
born in New York.
but we left when I was 4, so I don't really remember it. And then yeah, I grew up in Paris and then did my last 2 years of high school in San Francisco and then moved to New York for college. But it was sort of I mean, it's New York.
Yeah,
But it was a very conscious decision, because when I was looking for ways to sort of continue pursuing my academic interests and scientific interests and also continue dancing and choreographing, I wanted to go to a place like New York where I could, be in school and then actively be working outside of school.
right.
And a lot of college dance programs are kind of in these secluded areas and are conservatory programs. So that's all you're doing day in and day out, and you're not really taking any other classes. So yeah, New York just felt like, that's where the people that are doing what I want to be doing are, and it's a place where I can also be doing multiple things at once. I think, training in ballet for all of my childhood, it can really create this kind of tunnel vision of that's the only way you can be an artist. Or so I wanted to be in a place where there were lots of people doing lots of different things and I could feed off of that. And then now I stayed after college because you sort of just have to be consistently around those people and
Yeah.
bug them until they have something that comes up. And then they're like, oh, well, Sarah's weirdly been hanging around for the past 2 years.
It's a blessing for not just New Yorkers, but for us all, because I just got a flash that I'm going to see you on the Tony stage holding one of those Tonys one of these days soon.
Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Manifestation. Um, uh, my brain today, it's so happy that you're here. And also I'm thinking, God, there's so many questions in my head, and I'm like taking this in, and I of course I know about you, but I'm even learning more, and it's like, oh wow, it's fun. The what was I gonna say about the New York and being in New York? It'll come to me. It'll come to me. In the meantime, you graduated from Bernard College?
Barnard, yeah.
Ah, Me and my pronunciation.
No
And
one
when
can. I just tell people Columbia because they know what that means.
Barnard.
Yeah.
So what? So how? I mean, those that's one of the big schools. And so you studied biology, you said, but you also studied dance?
Yeah, so I um wanted to take advantage of the fact that I had decided to go to school in the US instead of going back to Europe where I could get a free education, and really take advantage of the like liberal arts college ethos of you can do more than one thing, you can combine disciplines. And so I kind of strong armed the university into letting me create my own major,
Love that.
which basically, I mean, my thesis was sort of asking, storytelling and communicating through art and music and dance are such human universals, and we have done it from the dawn of time. So, why do we do this behavior from a, evolutionary biology, animal behavior perspective? And sort of what are the component parts we can see in other animals and the way they communicate with each other?
Yeah.
So I wrote my thesis on bird mating dances and drew parallels between, our behaviors and theirs. Yeah.
You said bird mating, and then it reminds me of how the hummingbird is so spiritually connected to maybe past or future lives in a way, and how I always see hummingbirds, knock at the window when I'm thinking about my aunt or my uncle who has passed on. So interesting. Um, I can't wait to see one of your productions. How would you, let's say I mean, we have so many artists here today at Performing Arts Studio West and Meet the Biz. How would you suggest artists or other artists to combine who they are and their art into their living truths?
I would say really go for it. Like try. I mean, a lot of my answers to questions about like why I'm living in New York, why I went to college, I think especially when you come from the kind of performing arts that are seen as like classical forms and are very conservatory programs, they sort of make you feel like unless you're devoting 100% of your time to perfecting that craft, you'll never make it in that craft. And I have an immense amount of respect for people who are specialists and like really good at one thing.
Yeah.
But I think for me at least, and for people who feel like, deciding to become a performer, become a director is kind of pulling them away from other interests to listen to that and to see like how can I combine these worlds? How can I bring these worlds together? Because at the end of the day, most kinds of art are just our ways of telling stories, and your story that you have to tell is one that includes those other interests and those other passions, and those other skills. So like I grew up dancing ballet and very quickly realized I mean very quickly after 20 years of doing it realized that I don't want to be the person who's performing, but all the skills that I learned from that are helping me when I'm even on music video sets ADing or helping with a lighting designer or doing all these other parts of what goes into doing a production. So yeah, just following that instinct to try and bridge things, because it'll end up being more interesting and end up being what maybe sets you apart.
And not everybody does that. You have the quote actors or quote just the dancers, but you're dancing, you're directing, you're choreographing. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay. My brain is going, am I pronouncing today? Um, but it's wonderful that you seem to, I don't want to say an octopus, but you have all these different things going on, uh,
Yeah.
which is which you're able to create your own art.
Yeah, I mean, part of it was out of necessity of like, I don't have the budget to pay for an AD or pay for a set designer, pay for a lighting designer. So why don't I just learn this skill myself?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, too, I think for me at least, to be an effective director, I wanted to gain at least a baseline practical understanding of what each part of the team does.
Yeah.
So that I can, better account for like, okay, these are the material things that they need, and this is the time that they need to achieve this thing, because I've, somewhat experienced that part of the puzzle. Yeah.
You're gonna write a book too one day. That part of the puzzle. I love it. I just see, I'm a visualizer. I can really see things, and I just saw puzzle pieces like flowing. Maybe that's one of your dance pieces. It's all about a puzzle that explodes, but then comes back together, but in a different way.
It's a great idea. I'm gonna write it down.
Oh, good. Good. Just put thanks, David. No. Hey, we've got some wonderful people. They've emailed me, they've messaged me on Facebook, they're waving their little hands. So we're gonna start off with a question from Ron Johnny Reyes. Hey.
Hey, my favorite Italian Jewish girl. I have a amazing question for you. What is dance means to you in your dance journey makes you feel like?
That's a great question. That's a great question, especially because I don't perform anymore and I don't dance anymore.
Really?
No, I teach, and I dance tango. I guess that's the only dance form I still do for myself.
Now, why? Why is that?
Hmm.
The sad reason is just lots of injuries. But part of it's also just, being a dancer, there's a lot of work, and it's a lot of sort of consistently keeping yourself and your body trained for this very specific thing. And it's a day in and day out craft. And it's one that I just sort of like, if I'm going to decide to be behind the scenes, I should just fully do that and not try to do both. And plus, because I think that my talent isn't so much as a performer, but more in the background, making things happen. But what does dance mean to me? I mean, I think everybody has a body, everybody has the impetus to move, and I think, especially ballet is seen as this like high art form that is inaccessible, but and so dance can often just go over, like, make people's eyes glaze over. But if you really break it down to like, everyone has, the ability to move and to touch, and yeah, it's this very like innate human behavior to me. I don't know if that's a good answer, but
No, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Thank you, Ranjani.
Anytime, David. That's hair.
Oh, who, me?
Yeah.
What hair?
Amazing hair. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you. So that brought something up in my mind. Is you were talking about ballet, and you have is she your aunt or great aunt?
a great aunt. Yeah.
Aunt. My pronunciation today.
No, I think you can say both.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, if you're from America, aunt. But the wonderful Janet Sassoon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did that spark anything for you? I mean, or was it sort of through the genes, or none of the above?
I don't know. I think because you start ballet so young, I don't know if I'd really like put all the pieces together. But I loved watching dance, and we had photos of her in our apartment growing up. And so I think it was definitely just in the orbit. And now as an adult, and when I was a teenager, I've spoken to her. She wrote a book that I read. She had quite the life, and worked with some of the sort of ballet greats of dance history. So that was always really cool to be able to just ask her, like, how was so and so in the
Right.
studio. But yeah.
Yeah, that is a prima ballerina. What is the difference? I mean, for those who don't know, a ballerina versus a ballerina versus.
Um, in classical ballet companies, so I mean, not so much in the freelance world in which I'm working in, but in a, structured ballet company, you have sort of different ranks and they perform different roles in the ballet. So you have the corps de ballet, which means the body of the ballet, literally is the translation from the French, that
Right.
do all the big group sections in a ballet. And then you have a demi soloist who maybe does like trios and duets and things that are somewhat featured, soloist who does, the next step up of feature, and then you have the principal dancer who does, the main role. She'll be Giselle or Juliet or and then the prima ballerina or the étoile is like you're the best of the principals in your company. And it's this very coveted role that not everyone gets to.
Love it. I love it. I love the again, the way you speak is so eloquent and so down to earth at the same time. It's so, I love that. Somebody else who messaged me on Facebook, I want to get those two who messaged me right away, was Shannon Diericks. Shannon, do you have a question today?
Oh, yes, I do. Um, let me see. What is it like to teach anything?
To teach.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. Teaching dance is really strange. Especially, well, because I've taught, ballet class, really simple. You have a set, vocabulary that everyone knows. Like we have words for these sort of steps that we do to warm ourselves up. And that's more straightforward. When I'm teaching, or I don't fully see it as teaching, but more like working with the dancers more on an equal plane when we're sort of creating and making choreography, then you're sort of, taking the terms and turning them on their head and doing moves that maybe don't have an exact name for them. So it's a lot of just, let's see if, you could put your leg through this person's arm and where do you feel like your weight is falling? And it's a lot of just sort of stop and starting and feeling, which is very similar actually to I'm training how to teach tango. And that's a lot of just adults, people who are not from a dance background, who want to learn how to dance tango and have maybe never danced before or thought of their body in that way before. And it's a lot of just similarly weirdly to choreographing of, close your eyes, feel the weight of the other person, just tune in to a part of your body and a way of thinking about yourself inside your body that you don't have when you're just going through the world. I think everyone should take a dance class for that reason, because it just makes you more aware of you in relationship to all the other bodies in the space.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Shannon. Um, I'm just thinking that if you or when you ever come to Los Angeles again, maybe you could come in for a couple hours and teach a dance class to everyone.
Too.
Oh my God, that would be amazing. I would get on my leotards and
Oh, good. I can't wait.
I
Just
actually,
for that.
well, just for that, she's gonna come out. Oh my God.
Buying my ticket right now.
Oh, there you go. What was it? I actually took ballet at ACT in San Francisco.
Wow.
Yes, I took it. I went to their summer congress back in '91, and it was amazing. It was like, what is it? 10 weeks with 18 classes a week, different. It was,
Wow.
it was. I'm so glad I did it. Um, Anyway, a little bit about it. Hey, Tracy Turner's here today. Tracy Turner.
Hi. How are you? How are you, sir? Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Oh, well, oh shit. Wait, hold on. You can't hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to know. Sarah, you are so beautiful, and you wow me. You wow me, cause I want you to be my best friend. I do, because you're you're just amazing, and David hit it on the nail. You pick. I love the way you speak because you speak eloquently, but just like David said, down to earth. I feel like it's just a pretty girl walking down on the beach, and I could say hi, but wow, where did you come from? Because you've been here before. I know you talk like you know, like I don't know. You're so like brilliant.
Like she's an old soul that she comes
Yes,
from a lot of past lives.
yes, I
Yeah.
do. I truly do. But I don't know why, but yeah, I don't really have a question. Well, I like living in New York. There's more. I like the people with disabilities. Maybe not that, but and I live in the ocean, so nothing happens here. It's so fucking boring. Anyway, but I just, I just like I found a group because the group is in LA. I can travel to LA. So that's really fun. But I only want to make it one day. I mean, not make it, but I can see myself playing that fun. I don't have to be the lead. I want to be the lead, but
Well, you dance too in your own way, right? I mean,
yeah.
and I could see Sarah, in the sometime in the future, creating this amazing production with all types of abilities.
Oh, that would be awesome. And
Yeah.
two, I love the way you talk about touch and feel with people with disability because mm, I can't speak for all people, but I just need that touch that, and that's not always there. So, I guess, rock on, girl, because I'm never gonna be what you are. So, rock on.
Well, that's
So,
beautiful.
I'm
Well,
just
but you are who you are. So we're all wonderful and individual.
if I know it, then there's that. Hmm. I don't know. Okay, and I did add you on Facebook.
There you go. You're
Thank
gonna
you.
get lots of friends.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
buddy. Oh, you're so beautiful inside and out.
Oh,
Inside.
thank you.
I love you, buddy. Hmm. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to see you dance, and I think everyone has a way of moving, and that's what's beautiful about dance, and why I also like to look at nature and just how shapes and things moving in relationship to each other can be seen as dance. So everything is dance. I'm biased.
uh, Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
I love this. I love this. It's family time. It's so interesting that I'm saying that and I'm going, you are family. Sometimes I say that and I truthfully mean it because thank God that we go through life and we find family members as we go on. And then, I always think like blood family, as we move on, but everybody goes to the next dimension or whatever. But it's nice to call you family and know it's family.
We're
It's
actually family.
we're actually family.
And even if we hated each other, we still had to be in each other's lives.
That's right. Luckily, we don't hate each other, as you could
True.
see. What was I getting? Oh, what brings you joy in life?
God. Um, Do you want a silly answer or a philosophical answer?
Both.
Um, I'd say food, dogs, my bed are the silly answers.
Okay.
I guess the philosophical answers maybe in line with what you were just saying about, you know, about family in the sense of I've been really lucky to have a really wonderful chosen family in New York that are, you know, community of other artists from other disciplines all trying to, you know, do what they are doing. And sometimes our projects intersect, but it's really nice to sort of have this community of people who are in very similar paths, even if they're in different types of art. And just sort of like trading war stories. But yeah, I think chosen family in a place like New York, and I'd imagine LA as well, is really important because they're isolating cities and there can be very isolating art forms, even though, you know, you're doing them with other people. But yeah, I just had a wonderful chat yesterday with my best friend who I collaborate with a lot, and he was like, no one's going to believe in your project as much as you do, and therefore you have to sort of perform and exude that confidence even if you don't have it. And so just having people in your corner that remind you to do that is really wonderful.
You are so you're like you teach when you speak. You do. You teach, you inspire. I keep on the word inspire keeps popping in my head because I have this project that I've been working on for years, and I am getting so much positive healing, go get 'em energy from you about going after your dream. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's all a facade, you know. I'm telling it to myself as well. You're always
I
your
don't
own
think so. I think what?
You're always your own harshest critic. It's always easier to have someone else tell you to go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you don't even you're there. Whether you say that or not, your energy it moves forward and creates. And talk about a creator and an actor who was on a TV show for 5 years, Mr. Luke Zimmerman.
Hey, Sarah. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Hey. One quick question for you. In New York, what part are you in? Brooklyn, Queens, or Bronx?
I'm actually lucky enough to be in Manhattan.
Manhattan. Okay.
Because I went to Barnard and Columbia University, which is
That's cool.
Morningside Heights, uptown Manhattan, and just was able to keep finding.
Yeah, because I have a brother in New York. His name is Jonathan. He went to Columbia in New York, and that's where he met his wife there. Because they're sweethearts.
No.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to that details with you. But really, from the actor to the actor, what kind of dance you know about between, different dance like ballet, tango, but sometimes you do call reggaeton dancing. Do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I used to also do some acting back in the day before I gave up performing. And there's just a lot of, I mean, you would know better than me, but there's physical warm-ups for acting, different like techniques, like Alexander technique, things like that I have done and been taught. And I actually work with a good friend of mine who's a musician, and he performs on stage as a musician, and I've said you should take classes for actors for physical warm-ups for performing on stage, because it feels more similar to like the kind of warm-up I could give him, which is like to go and put your leg up here.
Oh my god. Is I heard you did ballet, right?
Yeah, that was
Is it painful? You on your toes every day? Like that?
I stopped.
She says, no more toes.
I wasn't strong enough for it.
No, so you quit or do you?
She
Stop
moved
it
forward.
out.
She took it all and she created.
I
Oh, that's
transitioned to the next step.
next step.
Because you know tango, I know tango too.
Mm.
Well, one of these days I'm gonna see the two of you tangoing together.
I would love to.
It'd be great.
Maybe when she visits.
Yeah,
We have
I
to
do
go.
that.
Let's go to a milonga. I'm ready.
Oh,
Me
I love it.
too.
Thank you,
Nice to
Luke.
meet you, Sarah.
Oh, that was great. And just to say, Luke and I are not blood related, but we have the same last name and we're family related in other ways. That's interesting about the bringing everything together and what about the acting that you did at times and the dancing that you have done all feeds into what you do now, which is so wonderful. Um, um, I'm going to bring on Bernadette. Bernadette.
Good morning. How are you?
Hey, Bernadette.
I didn't think I had a question. Then I heard you starting to talk, the two of you, and then other people too, because I started having like these visuals. I totally related to you studying birds mating dances and everything. I I remember thinking, I guess I always loved birds and everything, and I'd watch this when I was a little girl. And my younger son raised parakeets for a while, had a big aviary in the backyard, and he used to get really upset with me. Mom, why are you sitting there watching the birds do it? That's gross. Get out of here. So I'm like, it's not gross, it's beautiful, and they're funny. And they do this little dance. They'd come to each other and then move away. And it made me think about Ruth Buzzy and Artie Johnson in Laughing, where he'd one wild meadow as he'd get close to her on the bench and she'd scoot away. Oh, the birds would do this back and forth. And then I thought, what a pretty dance it could be. I saw your earrings and I was thinking about the Song of the Octopus's Garden, how they make art underneath by finding all junk and stuff and making their own kind of art, and how many different animals in the animal kingdom are really into aesthetics and between dance and I had a bird once that made the prettiest nest look just like a rose out of tissue that it had gathered together. Animals are so artistic, and we're all animals. But I started thinking how fun it might be to have a whole class of differing ability physical people dancing in the way in the animal kingdom. Some is very, very, very smooth and soft and gentle, and some is a little more clunky, maybe moving, but still has its own beauty. I think it'd kind of be cool to have almost on stage a huge like aquarium that had the birds above and the fish below and dancing in different ways. I don't know. I know when I'm really depressed, I'm not a good dancer, never was, but I love to move. And when I'm really depressed, when I feel like I just can't even bear to breathe another minute, I remember that it's hard to feel depressed when you're dancing. So I'll turn on some music and I'll force myself to dance. And it's clunky at first. And before you know it, I think I'm a prima ballerina in my own living room and feel wonderful. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely something that I brought in a lot of my research of, when you're dancing, and especially, when you're dancing alone to music, and especially when you're dancing within a group of people, your brain releases basically a form of opiate and makes you feel better. So your dancing literally drugs you to feel better. And when you're dancing in a group of people, it also promotes like feelings of trust and companionship with those people. And it's interesting you talk about animals as artists. I completely agree. There's a species of bird that I love. It's called the Vogelkop bowerbird. It lives in Australia and New Zealand mainly. And they build these elaborate bowers, which are basically like a set design, stage design for their mating dance, and there's even like regional differences in the shapes of the bowers and the types of colors they use, and they even use like forms of forced perspective by where they place the objects, which is, you know, something that took humans up until the Renaissance to figure out in painting. And the female birds will come to the bowers, and if they don't like the set design, they won't even stay for the show. So, and that just feels so, and the male bower bird that builds the bower is so neurotic about it too. He's constantly like tearing it apart, fixing it again, changing it. I don't know, it just feels very human.
Thank you, Bernadette, for sparking that.
She fascinates me.
I love it. So Sarah, what are you most proud of?
Wow.
Or one of the things in your life that you're most proud of?
I never want to rest on your laurels. Because I still feel like I'm in a stage of each project is just the learning curve, stepping stone to the next. And I've been told by artists who are more seasoned than me that you're always going to feel like it's not finished and it wasn't what you wanted it to be, and try again the next time, and hopefully you get closer and closer to that. But even though it just got performed and I'm already writing up all the things I want to change about it, very proud of my last project that I mentioned at the beginning, on fireflies. So I have this series of works that are called Fables for the Future, where I'm taking you know, my interest in different ecologies and ecosystems, and my interest in mythology and folklore and that kind of storytelling, and also a lot of my work being oriented around climate change and those issues, because they go kind of hand in hand with the animal kingdom. But so I have this series of fables, and the first of which just got performed the last 2 weeks. New York City has like over 30 different species of fireflies, and they're really you know, staples of the summers here, and the populations are waning globally. And insects are sort of the canary in the coal mine of ecosystems. They're the first to show signs of an unhealthy habitat. So I got a permit. The New York City Department of Transportation, which is like what, you know, runs the city streets and parks, has this public programming artist list. So I was able to get on that list to be a public programmer, to make free public art for New York City streets. And they shut down traffic on major avenues, and you have these sort of pop-up performances. And I made a piece on fireflies, but I really wanted it to be an event that wasn't just like, okay, come for a dance piece, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to be a whole day of, you know, like, care about the fireflies, learn about them. So we had a visual artist that I work with teach like art workshops. She's from Japan, and they have a lot of traditions with lantern festivals and fireflies. And she taught origami to people. I had a scientist come in and give a talk about their habitats, their life cycles, why they flash, why they fly. And then that sort of transitioned into, we taught the audience a little song, and we made them walk in a procession down the city streets. And then they finally arrived at a sort of clearing where there was a 20-minute firefly dance piece with 12 dancers. And even though like in each of those component parts, I have a lot of like overhaul I want to do, I'm very proud of the event as an idea, and the fact that it all worked together and was able to orchestrate all these parts. And it felt like a kind of synthesis of what I've been trying to do of, you know, I don't want to just do one thing, but can I put together all these different worlds, and can they live together? So yeah, I'm glad it's over though, for at least for now.
You're what?
I'm a little glad that I have like a reprieve, and that it's over for the next couple of months until I get back onto it.
Well, that's great because you can take that time to percolate more creations.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Yeah. No, I know that there's more than hope there. That just hearing that took me on a journey. And it makes me want to be in New York just to catch your shows.
Hopefully we'll do it again next summer.
I might just have to move out to New York for the summer.
The worst time to be in New York.
I know. I love October.
Yeah, that's the best time.
What was I gonna say here? Oh, I have so many questions. We're not gonna I can't get them all in. Telly is here today.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and everything. I kind of wanted to just genuinely throw out there sort of a two-part question. What do you wish you better understood? And what do you wish people better understood about you?
Wow, that's really getting deep. I mean, this is slightly unrelated, but I have a desire to like better understand or be able to speak many languages, because I think you can really learn a lot from a culture and a people based on the language. The language says so much about, you know, the value system of a place. And in many ways, that's what I find compelling about dance, is that can be seen as this universal language and a way of communicating with people on a level that's so physical and so innate, that you don't need words, and in many ways like allows you to have a real human connection with someone you might not even be able to, you know, say hello to. And you know, a lot of times, you know, if you go to other places, the way we resort to communicating is physically. So yeah, that is something I really wish. I think my desire to make art is really a feeling like communicating is difficult, and wanting to communicate on levels that are intangible and hard to get on a day-to-day level. Small talk is really difficult for me. So I think that's sort of what I wish I could do, and what I strive to do with dance, as finding a way of communicating on a base human level. What do I wish people understood about me? I guess that sort of was part of that answer a little bit, was struggling to communicate things that maybe day-to-day life doesn't really lend itself to. What those are, I'm still in the process of figuring out.
Yeah.
Thank you,
so
Kelly.
much.
Yeah. Let's see who's next. Raquel Chavez is here today.
Hi, I had a question for you, Sarah. I know some people don't know to dance, some people do. How do you give them advice about dancing?
So many good questions. I guess I sort of, yeah, I think that dance for some reason has become this art form that people feel like is unattainable. And yet, you know, if you look at so many cultures, people dance all the time, and for kind of all reasons, for celebrating, for community. And I just think, just do it. Like, you know, we all move, we all breathe, we all, and that can all be seen as dance. And you know, there's the sort of scaffolding of different forms that are helpful. Like, I've really fallen into a few forms that really resonate with me, and that feel good to my body. But yeah, I think just first of all, starting with the joy of just having the ability to move, and doing it to music is just a human joy that we're lucky enough to have. So just do it.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Raquel. I see a hand up. with these two beautiful faces, and I'll have you introduce yourself.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes. Hi. You have to say, I was a student at what? I was a student at what? Performers? At Performers Academy.
Oh, really? What's your name?
Leslie.
Leslie. Leslie, and what's your name?
My name's Julia.
Hey, Julia. Where are you all from?
We're from the LA area.
Very nice.
County.
Wonderful. So what's your question today?
I just had a question, as someone who wants to go into like a creative field, what was your first steps like with making like dance, which you were passionate about? What were your first steps with turning that into a career?
It's still an ongoing process. Like still have other part-time jobs to support the bad habit of making art. But I think find, peers and people who are doing the craft that you want to be doing, and just, be like, hey, I have a room for us and couple hours. Can we just get in a room together and start making things, and just really just trying to start somewhere like that with people you trust and people that you will feel able to take risks with, and maybe make something that doesn't work, or try an idea that's maybe not gonna work out either. But yeah, just finding a couple people that you can say, hey, can I try these ideas out? It'll be like 2-3 hours of your time, and starting there, and then that kind of, at least for me, organically grew. And I think a lot of the things that I've been able to do have, not been via the standard grant and residency applications. A lot of those still reject me every day. But have been sort of from like strong arming and crawling into different situations where I can say, hey, I have an idea. I think you would like this idea. So yeah, just the kind of personal finding your people, for me really, really helped.
Yeah, thank you. Of
course.
Well, thank you both. I love that you both came on today, and please join us every Wednesday we're here. So come and join us.
Oh, thank you.
And you, where did you I sent you an email, was that it?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
You last night.
You're on the mailing list then.
Perfect.
I love it. Well, thank you both.
Thank you.
Again, I could ask you, we could sit here for 3 hours and just chat, and probably next would come a glass of wine and some cheese and your mother's amazing cooking. I mean, you have been commissioned by Norte Mar. Oh, good, I said that correctly. Norte Mar for the Counterpoint series for 3 years or more. 3 years. You've been performing and creating throughout the world, as we know. What do you want? What do you want the most at this moment in your life?
Oh man. I mean, obviously I still have those like little kid dreams of making a piece on a major ballet company, or making something for Broadway, or but I think the less egotistical answer, which is still somewhat egotistical because being an artist is pretty egotistical. I'm currently in a process for a piece that is in its like seedling stage, and it's the first time I'm really letting myself be like a lot more artistically vulnerable and tell a story that is more about myself, which is something I tend not to do, or at least tend not to do overtly. Obviously anything I make is going to come out of me, but I think it's been a lot of just sort of sitting in front of my notebook and staring at a blank page and hoping that the ideas will come out. And I really just want to make a piece out of this project that feels like I've told a story that I'm really proud of telling, and I don't come out of it feeling like, oh, I have this idea that I didn't fully realize, or I got component parts of it. I want to give it, maybe it'll take me 10 years to make this project, but I want to stick it out and give it the like patience and care that the project needs, and feel like it was like I've taken all of the tools that I've been building and the craft that I've been training in and put it all together to really make something genuine, which I don't feel like I've achieved yet. So that's what I want right now.
Thank you for that. Again, every time you speak, I get inspired. Again, you've done work at the Alvin Ailey Citigroup Theater in New York. You've done work at and created at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco. The list is, you were at the San Francisco Academy of Ballet. You have done so much, and I can't wait to see more of what you do. Thank you. You were talking about egotistical, and it's not, I think it's another boom, 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 boom word. I heard a bell go off because I was always talking, oh, you're so sensitive, David, when I was growing up. And I always thought that was a bad thing, but I realized being sensitive is a good thing. Being able to feel and have those different emotions, because it ultimately, if we know who we are and it doesn't hurt others, it can enrich others' lives through our own. And being egotistical, which you say is egotistical, but I see it's just a light of healing for others. So thank you for that.
Thank you, David.
Oh.
In the 10th week of July, I hear a summer storm approaching. Hear it every time you cry. Cold comfort, offered like a prayer, dancing on the dipping pool down out in the open air. No answer coming from above. The windfall prophet said, see the walk across the flood. That's cold comfort as Gomorrah turns to smoke. Just waiting in the punchline, trying to get in on the joke. Wading through the water as it washes over us. Hold me in your arms and just breathe. Kiss me in the sunset. From the castle on the hill, champagne